Good morning, YouTube. Today, let me pull back out here. Today I'll be working on a 2004, 2004, you see right here, CRF 450R. And the gentleman needs a valve job. So we need to get down to the head and take the head cover off and then get the bike's motor to top dead center and then check the valve clearances. Just quick information on disassembly. So you're going to need a 10 millimeter socket. You're going to need a 8 millimeter socket. You're going to need some picks. You're going to need a angled pliers. And first thing you're going to have to do is take the seat off. The seat pretty much sits across here. It's 10 millimeter bolts, one here and one over here. And then you have to take off the side plastics. There's 4 fasteners on the side plastics. Those are 8 millimeters. And we have one here, we have one here, and the other 2 are in the tank on both sides. Okay, so you have 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, and then this mirror is the one into the radiator, and the one into the frame is mirrored on the other side. So you get the plastics off on both sides, get the seat off, then you can take the gas tank off. The gas tank is held on with a 10 millimeter right here, and that's this long bolt right here that's 10 millimeter. These are the 10 millimeters for the seats. And then this is a little different than most bikes. The petcock is on the frame. So you have a hose coming down from the tank, and you have a hose going down to the carburetor, okay? And the petcock it stays on the bike. It doesn't come with the gas tank. So if you have fuel in there, you need to buy some of these. These are good to have anyhow to do multiple different jobs. This is basically a hose clamp. It's kind of a nylon polyester type clamp. You put it on there, you lock it down, and then it holds it. And then you're gonna need picks. You're gonna need angle picks to get this this retaining ring that seals the see, he has better clips on here, but these are the factory clips. Okay, so you're gonna need some angle picks to get those off. And now the next step, you need the angle pliers to pull out your boot on your spark plug, and then you set that aside. These are going to be, if I remember correctly, these are 10 millimeters. There's 3 head cover or valve cover bolts. Get them out and then take this off. That'll be the next step. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so we have the valve cover off, which is right here. These are 10 millimeters. So take them off with the 10 millimeter socket. Next step, you're going to need 6 millimeter. I'm going to turn this light off. We're going to need this light. I'm going to show you why we need this light. Okay, light's off. Okay, 6 millimeter opens up this port on your left side, on your cover, your left cover, and then you need, where is it? You need 10 millimeter to open up the large cover on the right side over here. And you can see in there, you're gonna turn your crank using that. That's an Allen key socket right there. And that is going to be, if it would focus, 8 millimeter. All right, so 8 millimeter on there. And now I'm gonna use the light. So you're gonna turn, let's see if you can see it. Anyhow, see this hatch mark here? There's a dot. There's a dot right there. You can see that little dot right there on your gear. Those have to match. Those have to line up. And then on this side, this is top dead center. You see in there, this notch here is to match up with that notch in there. You see that? And your lobes on your cam need to be facing towards the rear. Okay, so we're top dead center. And then we're gonna check, let me turn the light off. Get the light out of my hand. We're gonna check the clearances underneath here. That's where your intake valves are. And then over here, these are your exhaust valves, okay? So the intake valves are, okay, here's your clearance right here. Valve clearance for, this is for a 2002 to a 2008. So if you have somewhere in that range, 2002 to 2008, your intake is 0.05 to 0.07, and your exhaust is 0.10 to 0.12, and that's in inches. Okay, so this is your intake, again, is under your cam, and your exhaust is back here. And what you're gonna need is, you're gonna need feeler gauges right here. So we're doing, for the intake, 5 to 7, and then for the exhaust, 10 to 12. So anywhere within that range, if any of these grab, you're good. If none of them grab, you need to adjust your intake down so that it's tighter tolerance. Same thing for your exhaust. If any of these grab, 10, 11, or 12, if they grab, you're good. You're within tolerances. If it's higher than that, you're out of tolerance and you're gonna have to change the shims. So we're gonna check them right now. And all you do, I'll just do it real quick on, let's start with 5. So you're gonna take it, and you're gonna slide it in. Okay, so I can't even get it in. So he definitely needs new shims. I cannot get that in on either side. So his intake valves are not clearing enough. So that's why he can't get this bike started. All right, so that was at the lowest. That was 0.005 inches. All right, so I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how to take everything apart. I'm gonna check the clearances on the exhaust too, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the clearances were checked, and both of the intake valves are below clearance. The intake actual is less than 0.05 left and right. I couldn't get the feeler gauge in there at all. The exhaust clearances are 0.11 on the left side and 0.10 on the right side. And when I say left and right, it's gonna be as you sit on the bike. So the right side is gonna be where your right leg is, left side is the left, where your left leg is, sitting on the bike. So this valve is 11, or rather this valve is 10, this valve is 11. So they don't need adjustment, but the intakes, both intakes need adjustment. So the next step is to remove these 4 bolts. Actually, the next step is to remove the open the chain tensioner, which is down here. Open a chain tensioner, and then we got to get in here and take these off. You see these? Oh, these have to line up too, and they do line up. You see there's a hatch mark on there. That hatch mark has to match the hatch mark on the tower, on the chain tower, and as you can see it matches. So we need to get those off, and then we need to pull the cam out so I can get to the buckets. All right, that's the next step. Okay, I just want to go over the next few steps before we take off the cage. So you're gonna have to take off the cam sprocket and disengage the chain. So there are two Allen bolts, and these are the Allen bolts right here. Okay, they're 6 millimeter. You're gonna need one of these. You're gonna need a long Allen socket, hopefully with these beveled ends so that you can kind of get in an angle. And you're only gonna be able to do one at a time because the frame is in the way. Okay, you can't get the top one. So you have to rotate the motor and bring one into position that you can get it off. And then you have to rotate the motor back to top dead center. and get the other one. And once you have them off, you put a really small screwdriver in here, turn it to the right to loosen the chain tensioner, okay? There's one guide on this side. You see that guide? There's a chain tensioner. You probably can't see it anymore. So you can loosen it and then pull the sprocket off of the cage. And make sure you have a dowel or something to put through, otherwise your chain and sprocket might fall all the way in. So just put something through it like that to hold it in place. So I have that exactly where it needs to be. We're gonna take this off now, these four 10 millimeters, take the whole thing off, and then we're gonna see what kind of shims are in here. All right, so that's the next step. Okay, I just wanna go over the next step. So make sure when you take the cage out, you leave the cam exactly where it is. Okay, so it's facing with the lobes facing towards the rear of the bike. And then when you take the buckets and the shims out, make sure you leave them on the same sides that they were on. Okay, so this is the right bucket and the right shim. This is the left bucket and the left shim. All right, you're gonna need a kit like this, a hot cams kit with, it's a shim kit. And then you're also gonna need a digital micrometer, so you can measure what was in there. And then to make it go, you know, we need to open up the gap, so we need to go smaller than these. So we're gonna measure and go down. Now the other problem is if these are as small as they can be, I've had this on another bike, you can put the buckets in without any shims and get the right clearance. But that's it. Once you do that, it's going to need a head job because it just doesn't have the clearance anymore. Because it's going to wear on your bucket, and it's going to wear down on the top of the valve too, and on the bucket, and you're not going to have the clearance anymore, and it's going to need a head job. So okay, so that's where we are right now. So we have the shims out, the right side, left side. We have a shim kit. And we're gonna measure, and we're gonna figure out what these are and what we need to replace them with, if anything. All right, next step. Okay, so I was able to get the valves adjusted, and I'm gonna go over the process I used with you guys. So you have your shim kit, and you have shims going down by 0.05. Okay, you see how they go down? And we started out, you're going to take the shims out of it originally. There was 2 shims under the buckets in there. You're going to take them out. You're going to measure them with your micrometer. And what I found out is I had 150 and 150 were the originals. So I went down and you know, I couldn't get the feeler gauge in there at all. So I went down to 140, still couldn't get the feeler gauge in. I went down to 135 in both buckets, still couldn't get the feeler gauge in. I dropped down to 125, and then on the right side, which is this one right here, this intake valve, I was able to get 0.06 clearance. So we have 0.5. I was able to get one up above that. So we're 0.5 to 0.7. So that was good. So I stopped there. Left, still no good. So I dropped down. The last shim before you need a head job is 1.20. I dropped this one down to 1.20 on the left side, and we got 0.05 clearance. We got the smallest clearance we could have is 0.005 on this side. So we are good. I'm going to button this back up. I'm going to put the chain back on, and then we're going to just tighten everything up. Okay, and put the cap on, or rather the valve cover back on. So, and I'll go through that process once I do it. But that's how I did it. I mean, some people might have other ways of doing it, but I don't know how else you would do it. You're gonna have to just do trial and error and go down till you get your clearance that you need. But this guy's gonna need a head job because you can't go any farther than this. You'd have to take the shim out and just go with the bucket itself. All right, so I'll be back. Okay, real quick, I wanted to just say, as you're putting in your camshaft sprocket, and you got to put in your bolts, your Allen bolts, make sure you put a rag down in there like that, so that you will drop it, trust me. And then that's going to go down inside there, and the shaft is too thin for you to get a magnet down in there, and then your SOL, you're going to have to figure out how to fish it out. You're going to have to again rotate. I already got this one done down here. I had to rotate the motor to get this one, and then that's it. Then we're going to put the cover back on. These are already fastened. These 4 are already fastened. We're at the right clearances in here, and we're good to go. Just gonna put this last one in. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna go over the clearances with you before I close it up completely. We have everything attached again. So we have the notch right there with the line here. See the notch? Okay, and that's on the right side. And then we have, why are you flashing like that? Oh, okay. We have the notch and the notch. So we're top dead center. The lobes are facing towards the rear. Let's turn this flashlight off. So we said, here's 0.006. We said the right side was 0.006. So there you go. It's just grabbing. And then we go to 0.005. Just grabbing. Okay, so that's it. This valve though is gonna go very soon, and it's gonna need, he's gonna need a head job. So that's it. We've got clearance here, and just, I mean, it's really tight still. It's actually probably too tight. So that's it. I'm gonna put the cover on. The cover attaches here, down there, and over here. 10 millimeter bolts. Then we put the spark plug boot back in, and we put the gas tank back on, inside plastics, and in the seat, and we're all done. Okay, any questions or comments? I'll leave them down below. Mike Machine's out. Please subscribe and like. Thank you.